Walk us through how it ended. We saw the reaction that didn't catch the play.
Well, we had a 1-point game there. That last drill was 8-7. Defense was up. Offense needed a big one. In my mind, I was trying to figure out a creative tiebreaker. So we always have kind of a few in our back pocket. But Shamar Bartholomew with the great interception right there. And then I love seeing the Juice, the whole group just running down. And of course, great the cameras were here. They're practicing their celebrations and all that. So we love it. But I just told the guys, this energy comes from them. It comes from knowing what to do. It comes from bringing that personality. They're the ones that put the color on it. Coaches were here to set the foundation of it and the information, but becoming us and the identity of who we are comes from the players. They're doing a great job. We've had great attendance, and so just looking forward to just finishing up these last couple weeks.
When you say defense is up 8-7, what is that tally?
Well, the tally is just it's a point for you got to get 4 more on a run for the offense to win. If defense stops them, then that's a point for the defense. An incomplete is a point for the defense. Completions is a point. Interceptions count for 2. Touchdowns count for 3. So we just kind of keep the score. Try to keep score on everything we do. Just with these guys, I mean, as soon as you put a scoreboard up, it matters, and the energy goes up. So we love doing that.
Dave, after we finished with you last week, Bruce gave us some clarity on Tommy's timeline.
Yes.
Could you offer a little bit more clarity on that, please?
Yeah, so Tommy, it doesn't look like Tommy's going to be ready to go at training camp. I don't know specifically what the timeline is. There's a window in there he could get back to us at some point as we go into the preseason and camp. But right now, it's just like we have to take it one day at a time, with the surgery. He feels great, but there's a lot that goes into that, making sure that he's right. And so we'll kind of just take it, day by day as we go into camp.
And how come y'all didn't do the surgery? How come you didn't do the surgery earlier?
Yeah, it just was something that kind of shifted on him. And it was really... He would come out and say he would feel great in practice, but the minute that he would cool down and kind of sit around, it just was so uncomfortable. It's just not a great place to be, We thought with having some time right now, like sooner the better. So it wasn't something we were super concerned about early on, but we all put our heads together and we talked to Tommy and involved him with the decision as well, of course. And we all thought that it was the best thing.
Dave, what are you seeing out of T-Mac, and what things is he doing well? What things do you want to? Things you're working on him to improve?
He's really taken to the coaching. First and foremost, the goal is to get him comfortable with the system, the different types of plays, different formations. We're starting to make it more challenging in terms of moving him around in different spots. He's handling it great. That gives him his best opportunity to play fast. I can tell when a guy's not comfortable because they look a little methodical out there, and so to see him be able to play fast, he looks pretty comfortable, but I know he'll probably be the first one to come up here and say, I don't feel like I have everything totally down pat, and that's the goal, is to get him to where he's completely comfortable.
What's he do for all the wide receiver positions?
What's that?
At every wide receiver?
No, he's just playing our X position, but in our offense, we just kind of move guys around in different spots to get matchups, to try to get numbers back in that. So
what's it do for him when he's in that situation and there's a J.C. Horn on the other side of the line?
It's unbelievable. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We make us. It's the matchups every day at practice that make us who we are. And if you look at what we've done up front over the last couple of free agencies, the draft, just getting great players up front on both sides to challenge each other. Certainly on the perimeter, T-Mac going against Mike Jack, going against J.C. Horn, just makes him better at the line of scrimmage. When you got 2 big guys who can run and are fundamentally sound, it makes you elevate your game. That's exactly what we want. We would try to create that in every room.
Dave, we're obviously not out here every practice, but some guys kind of missing. Wharton, Wanham, obviously brought up the back last week, and then Christian Roseboom and Jimmy Hunt. Jimmy Horn. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got it out there.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on those guys?
Yeah, so personal reasons for most of those guys you brought up, and then with Jimmy Horn, he's got a hamstring that we're managing right now. So we're just rehabbing him. He's in return to play, and then as soon as we feel like he's ready to get back out there, we'll bring him back out.
Jimmy, what does it mean to have such a great attendance or nearly full attendance during this time?
It means a lot to me. Especially for the coaches, and the support staff, everyone, that the guys come here and they feel like they have every resource at their disposal. That's my dream, is to make sure that the guys feel at home here. They have everything from a training standpoint, teaching standpoint, all those things. And the bottom line is we got to make it fun for the guys. We got to keep the meetings interesting this time of year, and make sure that we're kind of reading the room the right way, and then also just making sure when we're out here the energy is right, so the guys enjoy coming out here getting their work, and really it's a commitment these guys have to just being the best that we could possibly become and know what we're chasing after.
Hey, Coach, looking at the CB room, you're comfortable with I'm sure you're comfortable with the top two.
Yep.
Are you comfortable with the depth of the room? And on cue, Bartholomew,
Yep.
he's showing up during OTAs.
Yep, Shamar, AK's doing a great job. Corey Thornton has shown up a couple of times and made some plays, so really feel good about the competition that's happening there. Shaw Smith-Wade, of course, plays inside and outside, and he's having a great spring, just carrying over schematically, and he looks great. A lot of it just comes to, Cooley taking these guys through their everyday drills and watching their agilities really show up in practice, and the guys are really grasping it right now.
Any chance of looking in the free agent market, like, Gilmore was a hot name last year?
We're always looking. We're always open. We're always looking. But right now, I feel good about the group that's competing out there.
You mentioned the energy. I don't think JC was quiet the whole practice. How have you seen him kind of blossom into that guy?
Well, it's just great. I think it comes from a group that's working well together, understanding the scheme. The confidence comes from that first and foremost when the guys know what they're doing. And then I love it. It's him and Bryce. They're going after each other and they're challenging each other. And of course, JC wants to work. There could be games where he may only get 1 or 2 targets. So he loves getting targeted in practice so he can work on his game.
Jimmy's kind of like to see Jatavion step up and kind of take hold of this tight end position while Tommy is out.
JT's doing a great job. I think, when we send a message to the guys, especially the rookies, this offseason is going to be totally different than anything you've experienced, because typically you show right back up and you go back into your weight room at school. Now it's like you have to find a way to find that fitness for yourself, to find that strength for yourself, because we don't get the guys back till mid-April. They can come in and utilize the facilities, but JT heard that message, took it seriously, and he really came back in such great shape. I'm proud of him for taking those steps, and it makes me feel confident about him going into this summer, having a plan for his prep, and looking for a big year out of him.
Dave, what have you learned about Chuba in the last year since you've known him that you didn't know before?
Honestly, from day one, Chuba's kind of just showed that he's a consummate pro. He takes care of his body. He studies. It matters to him. He sets a standard for that room and certainly for the offense. Even in the walkthroughs, he's like, let's go, get set, break the huddle. Like, he knows what we're looking for and how we want it to feel like. And so he just kind of champions the cause that way.
I want to ask you, too, when Jimmy's healthy, what does he add with that speed out there of this team?
Yeah, Jimmy gives us a lot of options. There's some perimeter things we can do with him, the jet sweep game, but then also, just from his college film, he's a receiver first and foremost. He can stretch the field, he can separate, and he's got a lot of energy and passion he plays with, so he's going to give himself a great chance to help us.
Dave, is there a play or two that T-Mac has made out there that's made you go, okay, that's why we drafted him?
I think it's just his consistent ability to win at the top of the route. He uses his hands well. He's got great body control for having that kind of frame and size. A lot of times guys do struggle, with people in their space. And for a 6'4" guy to be able to control his body, and then he comes back to the ball. So he's such a friendly target because he attacks it. Whenever it's thrown to him, you'll see him come back towards the ball versus just receiving it, if you will. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about, just continuing to see from him.
When you see Chuba out late at practice, catching balls off the jugs and all, things he probably doesn't have to do this time of the year, but he's out there. What does that say to you?
It's just such a great example for this group that is pretty young, and we added a bunch of young guys in the draft and post-draft, the undrafted free agent guys, and they see an example of what you can do. While the coaches, we're off the clock, so we're right now, we can't be out there with them, but there are things that the players can do to improve their game, different things they want to work on, and so Chuba's just a great example of really just taking every day, taking full advantage of all the things that are at his disposal.
Okay. Wharton, what have you seen out of him so far, and what he brings, I guess, to some of these young players? Especially?
Tireless worker. I think one of the great things I love about Turk so far is what I've seen is he's got constant feedback. He's talking to the guys that are out there when he's not out there. When he does go, he jogs off and he's sharing something with Coach Wash, so that kind of focus and intentionality. The guy's been to 4 Super Bowls, 1, 2. There's a reason that culture, he's bringing that part of it to our team of just showing guys that all these walkthrough reps matter. Every time you get out there, go with everything you got. He's chasing the ball down the right way, with the understanding that you may only get 4 reps in this rack. Go for it. Find your conditioning, find your technique work, and let's continue to talk and improve our processes.
Dave, I know you're really excited about Pat Jones coming into camp and mini camp and everything. What has he shown you?
Who's that?
Patrick Jones.
Oh, yeah.
What have you seen from him? I know that there's not a lot of contact, but just as a pass rusher and just being in the right spot.
Really technical. Really takes well to the coaching. He's focusing on the right things: his footwork, his hand placement, the finish of plays, the communication, all those things, and then just another pro, a guy that, you know, his film. Bringing him in here, his film, he's an effort guy. He's a finish guy. That's how a lot of his production happens, is he doesn't give up on plays. And so, you know, to see that and set that example for Nick Scorton and for Princely, you know, coming in here to see, like, this is how you work as a pro, I just love it. And DJ Wanham is in that same category. So just love the core group of 25-ish-year-old guys who have been around, who know how to be pros and know how to show everyone else this is how we work.